Hi there, this is Nathan. Hopefully many of you will recognise who I am. I've got a bit of a sore throat, so if you don't understand me, I'm sorry. I'm recording this message to tell you a little bit about what I'm doing this summer. Firstly, I'd like to apologise that I couldn't be there in person to tell you what I'm up to, but I have my intermediate exams coming up in 4 weeks, which consist of learning everything in my first 3 years here at uni. As much as it would be nice to come up for the weekend, I also think it will be a bit of a distraction. As part of my medical degree at Southampton University, I have to undertake what is called an elective. This means that for 8 weeks we have to go and work in a hospital outside of Southampton, anywhere in the world, to gain a different kind of experience of medicine. We are encouraged to go abroad, but you are talking to students, and any chance we have to go abroad, we will jump at the chance. If you can think of a tropical paradise, there will probably be a medical student there this summer. After much consideration, I thought that I would like the chance to work at the Salvation Army Mission Hospital in Chikankata, Zambia. I felt as though I would be able to get a lot out of working in a developing country in terms of seeing different tropical diseases, different treatment plans, as well as hopefully being able to get my hands stuck in a little bit more than legislation will allow me to back here in the UK. But my experience isn't the only thing for going. Hopefully I will also be a handy extra person to help out at the hospital, so they will be able to treat more patients in the long run. The hospital itself is located in the southern province of Zambia, approximately 125 kilometres south of the capital Lusaka. The hospital itself serves a catchment area of 90,000 people in a 60-kilometre radius. I'm sure you can imagine the sort of distances that some people have to travel just to get to a hospital. The 270-bed, single-storey hospital is run by the Salvation Army on behalf of the government of Zambia. While the government provide the majority of funding for the health and nursing services at Chikankata, the Salvation Army also significantly contributes financially. The hospital relies heavily on overseas sponsorships and donations for much of its care and its education programs. The hospital has 8 wards: male medical, male surgical, female, paediatric, ante and postnatal and labour wards, high dependency, isolation and TB. There is 1 theatre with a very basic anaesthetic machine and ventilator, so the majority of operations are done under spinal anaesthesia. It also has an outpatients department which doubles up as an A&E and a new antiretroviral clinic which is treatment for HIV, which is entirely donor funded by the Swedish International Development Agency. At most, there are 4 doctors to cover all 8 wards. However, it isn't rare to see 2 doctors in the hospital and sometimes even no doctors for a few days, leaving patient care down to the nurses. The hospital has 67 nurses on its books, with approximately 20 nurses on duty during the day and about 9 on at night. The outpatients department is run by clinical officers, people who have had 3 years of training and can manage common conditions, quite similar to nurse practitioners here in the UK. The clinical officers also have specialities. One runs a chest clinic for follow-up on TB patients, one specialises in ophthalmology, which is to do with the eyes, and one in anaesthetics. The anti-postnatal ward and labour ward are managed by midwives, except in complicated cases. There are nurses and student nurses on the wards. There is a nursing and midwifery school on the mission. However, the nurses are often absent from the wards as they can't afford 8 nurses per ward, and so relatives are expected to provide all personal care, such as washing, feeding, cleaning clothes, for the patients. Although they have some basic equipment and laboratory facilities, Chikankata is in constant need of drugs and other medical supplies, which are often donated by visitors and by donations to the hospital. They can run out of swabs, urinalysis sticks and HIV testing kits, and patients just have to go without because they don't have the funding. As you have heard, the hospital is in urgent need of financial support to keep the hospital running. They are currently working on a project to raise money for a large generator to kick in when the electricity cuts out. At the moment, the hospital is often without power for 12 to 24 hours at a time on 2 separate occasions in a week. This has always been a problem at Chikankata, and they are trying to sort it out. They do have a small generator at the moment that is enough to power the operating theatre or a single ward, but when the power cuts out, someone has to go outside and turn it on, where the time that it takes them to switch it on is endangering the patient's life. Their plan is to get a generator big enough to power the whole hospital, and to switch on automatically when the power cuts out. The money they get from donations will firstly go to the day-to-day running of the hospital before going to the new project, as I'm sure you will agree, having drugs, staff and a clean environment is much more important to the overall patient care. The hospital itself makes a loss of over $200,000 a year, which is staggering and isn't sustainable. If you feel as though you would like to support the hospital financially, then I would be more than happy to take it with me and give to the hospital on your behalf. Thank you very much. I felt as though I would be a